Welcome to Reality Test. I'm Dr. Ray.
And I'm Dr. Kay.
Yes, so we were talking West and Ciara. West admitted during the reunion that he was deflecting and he got a lot of shit. And he said, I thought I was just describing a breakup. I was watching the season back and understand now why it was hurtful. And I apologize. And I put this as something we have mentioned before. This is not a good apology. One of my pet peeves is when people say I apologize, because it's so formal and distancing.
Yeah.
Like it's another way of not like, I think Ciara could tell more from his energy that he was a little bit sorry. So I think she gave him that one.
Yeah.
But I don't think for her it was what she wanted. Like if he was like, I'm so sorry, like I really made this about me and I should have considered your feelings.
Yeah.
That would probably end it. But I think my sense of him is he is like neurotic and pretty focused on how he's coming across at this point.
Yeah.
And I hope that he can grow from that. And I'm glad he at least saw that he was coming off like a douchebag. I still think he's still kind of in that a little bit, but maybe better.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually felt like his sort of presentation and douchebaggery sort of took a little bit of like an upwards step just based on the last reunion. Like he just did like a little bit better. Only a little bit. I agree about saying, I apologize, like, get out of here. Just say, I'm sorry. And, like, be more thoughtful. Be more empathetic about, like, what she's feeling. Yeah. What would you make her feel in that case? How do you make her feel? So I feel like he took, like, a little bit of a step up in other than that way. And then Solomon took a big step down for me in terms of that. Total douchebaggery all over the screen. Terrible apologies. So we'll come back to that. But, yeah, I hear you totally. That douchebaggery was on display.
Yes, tough. Yeah, improvement for West, but I think I wanted more. I think I see probably like Ciara sees the potential of someone who could be very self-aware. Yeah. Like he's funny, he's sarcastic, he clearly reads situations pretty well and has some anxiety, which is endearing. But I think his neuroses gets him maybe a little stuck in how he's being perceived.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah. He also said, everything I've said is the opposite of what I wanted to do, and it sucks. And I know I clearly hurt you, and that's not anything I would ever want to do. I didn't think we were on a talking level. And then Paige was like, maybe that's too much talking. And that was it was funny. And I also felt bad because I know he was trying. And it's like, when someone's trying, you don't want to shut down their efforts. But it was kind of funny. And then Ciara Jesse saying it was extra that she swatted his hand away. And then she said, coming from the man who said, don't touch me, that's extra. Amazing.
Yeah. Boom. Yes. So, well, I guess that's for humor. You use that one, but it's like that. It's like a touche moment.
Yeah. She clocked his shit amazingly. I thought that was really good.
So good.
They then discussed, they kind of did a postmortem again of the relationship and discussed that Ciara had become distant during the holidays. And I see you have a segment here.
Yes. So I felt like, okay, here's what it is. Thank you so much for pausing while I was like acquainting myself with my point there. I felt like, first of all, this was very powerful on Ciara's part, the way that we then talk about her life and the way that her mom's baggage or sort of like, if, emotional well-being has affected Ciara's all this time, really, it sounds like. I felt a little bit like she's probably been parentified. Did you get that vibe? Like she's been growing up trying to take care of her mom and trying to help her find the right way forward that won't do as much damage, I guess, for the mom, but also for Ciara. And it sounds like maybe her whole family. I mean, she doesn't have siblings, so direct, full biological siblings, because she ends up talking about the fact that her mom keeps remarrying. At this current moment, she doesn't really belong in any constellation of the family, which is just absolutely heartbreaking. Oh, so sad. So I wanted to talk about this both because I felt like this was something that the producers could do a little bit more with, and also that it felt like a little bit of the like using Ciara as something spectacly felt relevant to me about it, right? Like, I think you had said something off camera about the sort of racialization of things to do with Ciara, even in the even now, like in the reunion, and it just felt really like both. I was so moved by what Ciara shared, and I also felt like they could have given it more gravitas in some ways. Where, for example, Andy just sort of goes like, "So do you think that's like related to like why you care so much about who you go with, like get with, essentially," which felt almost like a little dismissive, honestly. It's sort of like, obviously she's sort of saying that, like, let her add like better language to it than you're even giving her. I also felt like this was an indication, and the segment I ended up giving it to was, I felt like that was like sort of a touch of it was producers. If they were psychologists, what would we think would look different? I would hope it would have more gravitas, even though I really loved they gave her that time. She got time for that, and I really loved that. But the other thing I put it under was we spotted therapy, because it felt like maybe it was an indication she'd been in therapy. She's thought very deeply about it. You know, her mom remarrying was clearly, she's like, it had more of an effect on me than I expected. So clearly she's like still coping with and working through her trauma associated with her childhood dynamics and her family of origin. So I think that like friendification mixed with like feeling regressed by mom remarrying and being alone at the holidays and really needing West, and then feeling like he's also not there. She's like scared to rely on him at Christmas, and so then she pushes him away, and then he reads that as she doesn't want to be with him, so then he does push her away. And it's just like that kind of regressive trauma, you know, triggering abandonment stuff at the same time that her mom is sort of like having fun with her new family, probably posting pictures or sharing pictures or something. I just was like, wow, what a like perfect storm. And I really, again, was touched she shared it, and also felt like I wanted to like care for her more. Like, you know, does that make sense? I'm not fully putting it in language, but
yeah. Like she was putting a lot out there in a very insightful way, and it wasn't given what it deserved, the gravitas, as you said, that it deserved. And Andy probably just didn't have the capacity to like go there fully or some in that moment. Sometimes he can be really good. I think he misattuned with her there, and no one really picked it up.
No. Right, exactly. It just sort of like went to break. I noticed also Lexi was like, it was so good of you to share that. And even that felt weird. It was almost like she was using that as a chance to like reconnect with Ciara, and it's sort of like, that wasn't for you, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's like that was for me and about me, because so much has been made of my love life and the men I choose. And let me explain a little bit more about who I am and why I get nervous.
Right. And have like, like want to slow down. I want to slow down with men. And it's like, you just think about her having to feel like she needs to worry about her mom's dating habits, or like whether her mom's moving too fast with somebody. It's just so much to be carrying, as I would imagine, starting out as a teen, or, you know, whatever. And it made me think about how good she is with Paige, which I guess we did talk about that at the time when we talked about her friendship. I think I might have said something like, it shows that she's been doing this for a long time and probably did it with her mom. But she's just like very good at reading and feeling very much empathy for the other person, and sort of wanting to caretake, and what a delight. I love Ciara.
Yeah. And she also reads and clocks so quickly when people cross her boundaries. Like when what Jesse did, it was kind of nuanced. And it wasn't to be like, oh, why are you touching me? It's like, it is such a rejection and like a fuck you in a lot of ways. And she was instantly like, nope, I'm all set on this. And I feel like that happens like subtle. It's not subtle, but it's like shit like that happens to women, where it's like, you're being too much and you're being thirsty right now, you single woman flirting. Like, it's so like, I felt embarrassed for her, but because of her reaction, I was able to like clock why she was like, what the actual fuck? And I love that she was able to take any sort of embarrassment that she felt and put it back on him in a really phenomenal way. Like, I think there's a lot of emotional intelligence there.
Yeah, she handled it so well, so smoothly, so clearly. And I totally felt like I, in that moment, understood why she was upset too. It sort of like makes her look like a fool, that like you said, it's the like clear rejection, but then it's also sort of like, you are doing this too. And so now you're making it look like it's just me. And that's what you're saying too about the thirsty thing. I also think it's like a trope. It's like racist, like the trope of like both the Black woman being like hypersexual towards white men and like potentially using it to like get power some way. Ridiculous. And then the other trope I was sort of thinking about. Oh, I lost it. But there's another one that came to mind too. And just sort of like the idea that like they don't understand their place. Like, doesn't understand her place. She shouldn't be touching the white person in power, you know?
Fucked up.
Wicked fucked up.
And it's like, she does get sexualized by these men. Like, she really does. They have all like wanted to be with her. No wonder she doesn't want to have sex with them.
Right.
Like, it's like this self-fulfilling sort of thing.
Right.
And then they go off to be with these white women. It has to feel horrible.
Yeah, it's so unfair and racist. And also, this might be an area where producers being psychologists, you know, could be important. Really doing some more drawing attention to that problematic nature of that. Like, there's also this happens for women sometimes too, but particularly for Black women, the imagery around Black women being almost animalistic. And again, this is like more so Black folks, but also for women in general too. But then that makes it especially women of color, of being animalistic and unable to control their urges, like not just because they're hypersexual, but because they're animalistic. And therefore, like, that just sort of, again, dehumanizing, objectifying, really, like, that's something they should talk about. And I would hope really that at least in the reunion, they might be able to touch on some of the tropes that are getting pulled up in the way that she's being reacted to, both being sexualized and being rejected as like not knowing her boundaries, not knowing her place.
It's awful. Yeah. And it's like, I would imagine for her, she has to choose her battles, like, because of the way that she will be perceived.
Right.
Like, she will not get the same grace that Paige gets to just be like, fuck off. And, you know, sometimes not talk for half of a reunion or not look at someone.
Right.
Or not say her ex's name right, ever again.
Right.
You know,
right.
She can be petty as fuck and it's coded as like, oh, she's a feisty Italian. How cute. Like, it's a very different sort of coding.
Yeah, that's so unfair. And it's something they don't really talk about. And I would love to see them talk about it. Paige and Ciara.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, thank you for that segment. And then Wes said when that time came with Christmas, you turned off your phone for weeks. And Ciara noted, I went to Costa Rica. Honestly, I tried to forget the holidays. I think she mentioned it was a retreat. So I coded that as maybe talking about therapy too. Like maybe that was some sort of therapeutic retreat.
I love it. I love it.
So yeah, so that was a mention of therapy. And she noted that she wanted to forget Christmas. She wanted to forget it was her birthday, which like broke my heart.
Painful.
She noted, I was trying to communicate a little bit, but I didn't want to be a burden and make him feel like he had to bring me home, which is hard. I mean, he has said before that he didn't want to be with her, right? So she was picking up on something. And so I think it's convenient for him to be like, well, you weren't there or you weren't talking. Like, I think if he would have shown up more, I think she would have met him with that energy.
I totally agree. It was his cop out to be like, oh, like you weren't answering. I feel like as soon as she wasn't answering, he was like, okay, good. Now I can use this, like during the thing. It was so crummy. And I also feel like poor sweet Ciara, who's like just being totally abandoned while also feeling so deeply about all of the other abandonment.
Yes.
Bad mom. Yeah.
Anyone would be so fucking lucky to be with her.
Truly.
She also said her dad and she don't talk. Sure. Her mom and she said, my mom and I haven't talked about anything yet, but we're better with each other. I feel like she expects subpar and should be better to herself. So talking about how she relates to men. She noted, I was definitely cautious. It made me more guarded about men. All I wanted was my parents to be married and get along, and everything unraveled. So it helps, or it causes her to wonder about her future family, and what qualities of a man she might have missed. And she noted, I don't want to duplicate the things I went through. And West said, I just wasn't there. I've had a lot of relationships fizzle out in shitty ways. And I thought I was breaking up at a time that was the respectful thing to do. And I thought it would at least help us salvage a friendship. But obviously I've fucked that up too. And I think he also said something about that was the closest he's ever felt to someone. And it's like, dude, you massively fucked that up. Like, it's sad.
It is so sad. And it's so like missing the mark still. Like she's trying to tell you these things and he like just saying that like, but I guess that was the wrong thing. Like, yeah, doesn't that feel almost like, what is the word for that? It's like fishing. Like fishing for her to be like, no, like I understand. Like you tried. Like, but obviously I fucked that up too. Yeah, exactly. It's like, dude.
Yeah. It's like reassurance seeking sort of behavior.
Yes. Yeah.
Like if I name the thing, then you'll reassure me. And I don't think she did, which is good.
I don't think she did either. I loved that. That felt like a real.
Good on you, girl.
Yes. Get it, Ciara. I felt like a real indication that she understood that what he was doing was total bullshit. That's not how you apologize. And that's also not showing any digestion of what you did wrong.
Nope.
Thanks, bye.
Nope. I think she has a great bullshit radar, which is lovely to see.
I love that. I was surprised in her narrative that she talked about how all she wanted was her parents to be together and not fighting. I was sort of surprised by that. I was touched by it, and I also really spoke to the child part of her and the child part of this dynamic that has been underlying all of it for however long. Because that was like that's the first version of hoping for parents to get along.
It's really vulnerable. Yeah. I think it is your turn. I went a little over. That's totally fine. With my page.
I'm with you. Apologies. No, I think that makes sense. We'll finish out the section we're on the next page. I'm with it.
Sounds good.
So we go to break. This is the part where I was like, okay, Lexi. She says to Ciara, you were so strong to share all that, Ciara. Yikes.
It was just a myth.
Yeah, like you're trying to like, okay, as a white person, you're like validating her as if you like have the right to be like, well, that was great. Like you're so strong. And then the use of it to say so strong as a Black woman, using that language at all. And then trying to connect with her over something like this that is so deep and important to be like, oh, like let's get back to being friends. Like just the whole thing.
She's just like, this isn't the time for you to be trying to insert yourself.
Find another time, place, and person. And then Ciara is actually still crying a little bit from talking about it, which is really beautiful, honestly. Like she's letting herself feel. The boys take a pee break. They call it a pee break, hence my use of that language. Amanda says, Kyle has never cried when I've cried, because they talk about how Kyle cries when Ciara cries. Makes a big fuss, like it's just so rare. But then they, while they're talking, like Andy's in the mix here, but he's on his phone, okay? And then Amanda says, Kyle has never cried when I've cried. Andy goes, he sees you cry all the time.
It was kind of weird. Like it was the weird texting.
Yeah.
It was strange.
It was fucked up. Like, sir, first of all, sexist. Second of all, you're talking about like a woman who has depression and anxiety. And like, so maybe he's seen her cry a lot because that goes hand in hand with her mental health differences. And certainly in no way should you be dismissively being like, well, he just sees. Because then the other thing is like seeing women as crying more than men do. Like, of course, you cry all the time. Women cry all the time. Like, just that view is I feel so icky. I didn't like it. I put it.
Yeah, I think it gave a little insight into how he might be off camera. Yeah.
I put it as a sociopolitical moment. It's a sexist minimum, but it's also other things.
Yes. Absolutely.
Sweet. So then Emerald joins. Emerald's like, they're talking about how he's sort of like known as the orgy beast, and he says, it was tough because I kind of came in with the sex story. And then people are talking about how orgy beast was a term of endearment, questionably. And
I have a
good. Yes, I'm so sorry. Fabulous.
No. I said if producers were psychologists, I wish, because they kind of alluded to how he didn't get really known as anything more than an orgy beast. It's like that is such a racialized term too. Like as a bunch of white people, mostly to call him an orgy beast, it feels so racialized to me.
Yes.
And like the harm that this has caused to him and his family. And like, I feel like the way the season was produced, we didn't really get a whole object sense of Amrul. And that's sad. Like, he seems like an interesting, complicated, kind person.
Yeah.
And yeah, he led with a certain thing, but he was probably told to.
Right.
Like, he was probably told to lead with that.
Well,
so,
yeah,
it's bummed me out a little bit. I hope he gets another shot.
Yeah.
I really do, but I'm not sure. I mean, if he was put as not even like a main cast on this, I don't know that he will, but who knows?
Yeah, that's a really great point. Both that he was probably told to bring it in. They're like, oh, they had talked to him about, tell us something interesting about yourself when they're like interviewing him to see if he wants to join. Well, I have this sex party coming up. Oh, tell us what both about that, and then also this idea that maybe he doesn't come back. Maybe that's also how they leave it, because they're like, oh, he's like a one trick. And that's subjectifying what I just said there with that metaphor too. I think it's one trick pony. It's like that. This is so objectifying. It's simplifying, reductionistic. Giving him one sort of like, and very sexualized, like we're talking about being racist, the sexualization, and animalistic, which also relates to the use of that metaphor that that came to mind in response to what they've been doing. So yeah, I hate it. I'm with you. I love your segment on that. That's great.
Yeah, I feel for him.
Yeah, it's very upsetting. And it also, as we find out, affected his family dynamics as well.
Which is heartbreaking.
Truly.
Yeah.
So you have to do more than one to be an orgy beast. I guess that's the idea, was like have sex with more than. Okay, so this is right. That was something that Emerald said in response to people being like, "Oh, blah blah blah, orgy beast." He's like, "I thought you have to have more than one orgy for it to be an orgy beast." And he really, because he brought up the point, basically that was just that one sex party. Like a threesome is not an orgy, so it's not like the threesome or whatever. So he says that, and no one says anything in response because it's fair. He said that he only brought women home 4 times the whole summer. That's not that wild. It's like once a month. Emerald said, I'm just being a good host, right? Yeah.
Just making a joke. Yeah. Trying to.
So, and also I know you have a segment here and I have a little something here as well, but the one thing that happened during this conversation in the midst of it was related to Carl. So it kind of comes up that Carl is the opposite of Emerald, and I think Andy says your game is the opposite of, or no, actually Carl says it. He's like, my game is the opposite of what I do, or like Emerald's game is the opposite of what I do. And then Andy goes, and his results are the opposite too. And then Carl says, yeah, he gets on base a lot.
It was gross. Something that is so, and this was it was like something I wish more people would talk about is not the downfall, there has been such a change in the perception of blah, blah, blah.
Carl.
Why did I almost call him Colin? Carl. He used to be like the hottest hottie that everyone wanted to get with. It's weird to see. And part of it makes me sad. And the part of it that makes me sad is like when he was drunk, right? A lot of, he's clearly an anxious person.
Right.
Like there was more of, maybe he was able to present a different sort of energy that seemed to help him sexually. So I like the way that it gets framed makes me kind of sad because it's like, I'm so happy for him that he's being more his authentic self. But the way it gets like framed on the show feels like almost a punchline.
Yeah.
Which is, it's just a really weird change. And then the stuff about his teeth that Gabby brought up that is tough too. Like I do actually have a lot of empathy for Carl. I think the way he was with Lindsay was tough, but I don't know. It has to be hard to be in a summer house with a bunch of people partying all the time.
If you're not doing it right, exactly. It's triggering. It's something where, like, if he associates when he was drinking with, like, when he was more popular and having more sex, that becomes even more distressing or hard not to engage. Other people bring it up. I wish you were that fun Carl again or whatever. We see that a lot on other housewives shows or on housewives shows. I totally agree. And I also, in addition to that, I think that's a great point. And I have empathy for Carl as well. In general, I wouldn't say I know as much about the first few seasons, so I don't really have a fully fleshed memory of him. I have done a little bit of going back to try to refresh myself, so I do know a little bit more, but I know more than nothing, I should say. But it's a non-zero number. but it's not high. But what I had about this moment was I didn't like him saying he gets on base a lot. It's gross. It's like sporticization.
It's weird.
Yeah. Sportization of our language, where really it's like, again, a kind of objectifying. It's a type of objectifying. So what does that make us? Like a ball? We're like a softball or, you know, baseball, and you have the bat? Like, great. So,
not good.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird stuff.
Yeah. So then Andy goes ahead and asks Emerald about his family. And he says, Mom and Dad are in Bangladesh, didn't really see it. Brother had a party for my only nephew, but my sister-in-law's sister-in-law did tell him that, wouldn't, so let me try that again. Right, but the sister-in-law wouldn't let him come because they saw the show. He's like bringing up the fact they're religious. He also brought up the point that he didn't feel like he did a good job connecting with people, that he felt a little bit uncomfortable. I was actually kind of impressed by him. I felt badly because it's almost like he's like self-victim blaming. But he brought up sort of like that there were ways in which he learned he could have done better at connecting with folks, so he didn't just become like a punchline, frankly, for him as well. Lexi kind of says, no, like, really, we could have done better too. And she said, we could have asked more about you. Obviously, there's more. She goes, obviously, there's more to you than the orgy beast. And Emerald said, I think so.
Yeah, I think that was a nice Lexi move too.
Yeah.
And maybe she understands as a fellow, like, first timer.
I totally agree. Because that's the whole thing. It's like now she can relate to him. And meanwhile, we're seeing how Jesse can't relate to her. Like now that he's a second year vet, you know. So it's nice that she can have a moment. Which brings us so nicely to the Jesse Lexi of it all.
Ooh.
So
yay.
It's brought up that it took 1 weekend for them to start acting like they're practically married. Andy says to Jesse, have you been in love before? Once in high school. And to whom he lost his virginity, really. He kind of raised that. I will say, something we've mentioned before, I take credit for this one. I did like have a whole thing last time where I was like, I feel like he's never dated anyone else. If he did, it was like one of those early ones that doesn't really count. You know, and so therefore this matters more and is new to him. And certainly he looks quite immature because of that. So turns out we were right. And he says, therefore this was a big deal. And he felt like he was falling in love with her. And so then Andy asks Wes, have you ever seen him fall head over heels like this? Yeah, Paige and Ciara. True. Very true. I didn't like that Jesse was like, yeah, basically people one of the viewers was like, do you like her even, or what's the deal? I liked her eyes, her smile. She was really nice, outgoing. Ew. Shallow, physical appearance. Ew. So they bring it back around to Toegate. You can also, in the meantime, find us on Spotify, which is true. But you can also find us on any podcast directory that you'd like to find us on. You can also find us on patreon.com/realitytest, REALITYTEST. And you can also find us on Instagram at Dr. Ray Pods and Dr. K Pods. Those are our handles. You can find us on TikTok at drdr.realitv, REALITV. You can also find us on YouTube and Facebook at Reality Test Pod. At Reality Test Pod, all one word, is our YouTube handle for the channel. And Facebook, we have a page. You can also find us on email if you want to just send us a note. Tell us what's up. Tell us what you want us to do. Tell us something you liked or didn't like. Whatever you feel like. Just say hi. I don't care. Whatever. You can email us at realitycheckpodding, PODDING, after the check, CHECK, realitycheckpodding at gmail.com.
And don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and tell all your friends.
Yes, please. And we'll see you next session. Bye, friends.
Bye.